Hi everybody, my name is Liz.
I'm Melinda and we're your Rent Reporters team. Previously, the largest monthly expense has had no impact on your credit score. Rent Reporter changes the game by adding a positive trade line that reflects those on-time payments.
So our topic today for Facebook Live are factors that positively and negatively affect your credit score. And we categorize this in what we're calling the Big Five.
So what we want you to do is go to Twitter and use the hashtag BOOSTCREDIT. Go to Facebook, please. On Facebook, please share the link, comment, and any questions that you have during, comment below, and we'll try to answer them at the end of the show.
So when we talk about the Big Five, we broke it up into open credit card utilization.
We have the age of your credit lines and how that affects your credit score.
The number of derogatory remarks and just general things that we're trying to avoid.
The huge impact that on-time payments have.
And the number and the types of accounts, so adding diversity to your credit profile. So the first out of our Big Five is open credit card utilization. So what is credit card utilization? We hear that word kind of thrown around very often, and what it is the total amount of credit that you use relative to the amount that's available to you. So Credit Karma actually did a survey where they sampled 15 million of their consumers in 2014, and what they found is that there was a direct relationship between that consumer's credit score and their amount of utilization. So if they were anywhere between 100% and 30%, they found that their credit score decreased, or it was a lower credit score in comparison to those who were below 30%. And we've typically heard that there is a 30% utilization rule. Although that's helpful, what they found throughout that study is that there is a 1 to 10% sweet spot. And that sweet spot is telling that when you're between that 1 and 10% of your utilization, you have the optimal credit score. And we want to give you some helpful hints for your credit utilization. And the first is you can regularly use your credit card. Just make sure that you maintain a low debt while you have it. Pay off any of your balances every month. And you can even request a credit line increase. And that the lower your utilization rate is, the higher your credit score. The key here is really that you can use your credit score, that you can use your credit that's available, but you want to try to manage it and keep it under that 30%, or ideally between that 1 and 10%.
The second factor that has a large role in your credit score is the average age of your accounts. You want to strive for a good balance between your old and your new accounts. New accounts increase your buying power, and old, well-maintained accounts show your credit worthiness. New accounts, Credit Karma found a relationship between the average age of open accounts and the credit scores of their customers. The shorter the average age, the lower the credit card score. So, a consumer with an average age of 1 to 2 years has a credit score of about 622 points, whereas a more experienced credit card or credit borrower of 8 years or more has a credit score of about 675 points. We learned last week in our presentation that a jump in just 50 points can equal a total of hundreds, even thousands in saved interest. Here are some tips on what to do and probably things to stay away from to help the average age of your credit. You do want to consider closing your unused cards that are costing you money. You do want to aim for to keep your oldest accounts open. You also want to remember to keep your credit reports and updates, to check your credit reports and updates for any errors that after you close your account. Don't close your oldest account on your credit report. Don't just throw away old cards and expect your accounts to close automatically. And don't be pressured to cancel several accounts all at once. The overall takeaway is the lengthier your credit line, the more information the creditors have to accurately assess your credit worthiness.
And the third of our Big Five is derogatory remarks. So these are all the things that we hear and that we want to shy away from, like bankruptcy, foreclosure, collections, tax liens, and civil judgment. So there's a myth that if you break a mirror, you can earn 7 years of bad luck. However, you break one of these or you fall into one of these categories and it's no longer a myth. You actually do have 7 to even 10 years of bad luck applied to your credit. The more derogatory remarks that you have on your credit report, the lower chance that you're going to have at getting approval for credit. What it does is it's going to indicate to a creditor that you've significantly mismanaged credit in the past. So you're going to do everything you can to avoid these at all costs because it shows your poor credit worthiness. Because remember, it's going to take between 7 to 10 years to get it removed from your credit report.
Next is the huge impact that paying your credit or your loans on time. FICO reports that, FICO research shows that this is the strongest predictor that you will pay your debts as agreed. On-time payments, that is. An on-time payment is the payment received by the due date for the minimum amount. Nothing is earned for anything less than a minimum amount. So your percentage of on-time payments represents how often you make payments on time. Some key points to help you get those payments in on time is to follow a budget. Know how much money you have coming in and how much money you have going out. By having a budget, you can plan accordingly. You want to schedule automatic payments. If your provider takes online payments, you may be able to schedule payments before the due date. Payments can be made each month with no further action on your end. And a good thing to go with your scheduled payment is you can adjust your due date. Make it easy on yourself. Some accounts, particularly credit cards, let you choose your own due date. Or you could keep it old school and set a reminder. Just write a note on your calendar and keep track of your due dates or use financial apps. And last, you want to pay your bills as soon as possible. Paying immediately is a good option for accounts where you cannot set up recurring automatic payments.
The last is the total number and types of accounts. So what this is we talk about diversifying your credit portfolio. Think of it as the more skills you have on your resume. The more skills that you have on your resume, the better you are with computers, the better people skills you have, the more software that you've been introduced for, the higher likelihood that you're going to have at getting that job. And that's what the diversity in your credit portfolio is going to show. It's going to show creditors that you're able to manage and can work with different types of credit loans and pay them on time. Actually, it was found that approximately 50 million of U.S. consumers with the FICO score above 785 have an average of 7 types of credit cards or a diversity in their credit score, meaning they have revolving credit, installment credit, and open credit. And those are all the different types of credit that we've talked about in the 2 previous Facebook Live series that you can check out. So the takeaway from diversifying your profile is that consumers with a higher number of credit accounts generally have better credit scores since they've been approved by credit by more lenders. Also, having variety of accounts of credit, both revolving and installment, on your credit profile can positively contribute to your credit worthiness. So what we learn is when we talk about variety versus no variety. Variety meaning you have credit cards, car loans, mortgages, different types of credit cards, that's good credit worthiness. Having something like only credit cards on your credit, not so good, and probably poor credit worthiness. Opening new accounts. You want to try to open them when you can afford them. That's showing good credit worthiness. And you want to avoid opening too many accounts at one time, especially when you cannot afford them. That's going to show poor credit worthiness. And you want to research products and see if they're right for you. Just because you're approved for different types of credit doesn't necessarily mean that you should take them. That's showing good credit worthiness. And you definitely don't want to accept all credit offers that come your way because, like we said, they may not be the most beneficial for you. So we're going to go back and we are going to recap the big 5 that we talked about. And we're going to use our wonderful images once again presented by one of our customer service representatives, Aileth, who's an amazing drawer. And the first is open credit utilization. So what we want to make sure is that we keep our utilization between 1 and 10% is most ideal.
Next,
Go ahead.
Next is the age of your credit. Of course, people that are lending you money, they want to know what your history is like. So the longer credit lines you have on the account, the better. Keep those open as long as you can, as long as they're in good standing, of course. And, aim for good relationships with your borrowers.
The third is these derogatory remarks, things that make us sad because it's no longer a myth. You are going to have that 7 to 10 years of bad luck on your credit profile.
And on-time payments. Everybody knows you pay your credit cards on time for at least the minimum amount. And by doing that, that has like a 35% impact on your credit score. Pay your credit cards on time. Make it easier on yourself. Set your own due dates and set reminders.
And lastly is diversifying your credit profile. I think that this is probably the most misunderstood out of all of them, is people think, oh my gosh, I have all these credit cards that I've been paying on time. Why don't I have a score of between 750 and 800? That's because you probably need to look at diversifying your profile a little bit more. So that's it for our topic on factors that positively and negatively affect your credit score. Go ahead and drop any questions that you have below. We wanted to take some time and we wanted to answer some of the questions that we had from last week's Facebook Live that we didn't get a chance to answer on our live segment. So let's go ahead, Melinda, and let's look at some of these.
Sorry, guys, to interrupt. Before we get into that, there are a couple of questions that came up during our session, so should we try to answer those first?
Yes, we can answer these, and then we'll move on to last week's question.
Great. So there's one that just came through, and the question is, how many point gain if renting history would get reported? So I think the question is, how much should I expect my credit score to increase by reporting my rent?
Ooh, that's interesting. So as you look through our last 3 presentations, you see that there are so many factors that get contributed into your credit score when we look at that big pie circle of everything. So we cannot say an exact number that your score is going to increase, but we can tell you based off averages that we've had from previous consumers, we see about an average score, about a 50-point increase for any consumer. 50. That's huge. That is huge. Do we have another question?
Yes, we did. Another one came through earlier. The question was, if there are derogatory marks on a credit report, is there a way to expedite that 7 to 10 year period to remove or reduce their prominence?
Ooh, that's a really good question, and that's a great segue into our episode for next week, which is about credit report and how Rent Reporters isn't necessarily credit repair. So you can work with credit repair agencies to try to correct that, and that may help a little bit to speed up that process. But you can tune in next week so you can learn all about credit repair and how Rent Reporters is not credit repair. So you can pick between the two and what's most ideal for you.
Okay, another question. How important is credit age and payment history when determining your credit score? How does Rent Reporters help in these categories?
Okay, repeat the question one more time for me.
So the question was, how important is credit age and payment history when determining your credit score? How does Rent Reporters help in these categories?
So credit age is, let me talk about that first. So credit age, Melinda was so great at explaining that when Credit Karma did that research, I think it was in the year 2014, they found that people with a longer average age of their credit score has a greater credit score. So what that helps with is the longer your credit age, the longer average credit age, the bigger your credit score is. So the way we help with that is, since we can report up to 2 years of credit history, we're applying 2 years of on-time payments. But more importantly, we've talked about this, if you've been renting at your apartment for 10 years, we actually put that start date at what year? We're 2017. So if you started in 2007, we start that credit age for you at the year 2007. So we automatically add a credit age for you upon verifying your profile and reporting you to TransUnion. So that's how we can improve that. Was there any other parts of that question that I missed, Cynthia?
So we addressed the age of credit and payment history, right? Yeah.
Oh, payment history. Yeah, I guess we kind of addressed both. So the first is that we can do payment history for up to 2 years, and however long you've been renting at your current lease, we can apply that to your age of credit, which both are going to significantly positively impact your credit score. Do we have more live questions? Or?
Yes, one more. Is it true that rental history is not used in calculating the FICO score?
As of right now, we cannot say that that is true, but as FICO scores continue to progress and they come up with different Vantage scores, that we're hoping that in the future and as we progress, that is something that we can hope to aim for, to see that applied onto your FICO score. Okay, we have no other questions from this week, and Melinda and I are going to go through some of the questions that were asked last week. So the one from Lawrence Chang, do you want to answer that one?
How do I sign up for this service? Asked Lawrence.
So how do we sign up, Melinda?
You just go to visit our website at www.rentreporters.com/boostcredit-talks-save.
You can go to our website, and we have live chat there, so you can chat with any of our live agents at any time between the business hours of 8 a.m. to 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So you can use us either to talk live, you can get information on there, or you can even call in on our landline, and we would gladly answer any questions that we have, and we can even sign up for you. We have one from Raquel Rodriguez that asks, how much does the service cost? So our service right now is $59.95 for a 2-year look back,
which goes with the age of your credit line.
Good point. And from Progressively then, to keep that credit line going, it is $9.95. Let's see, we have, I think this one's a comment from Beth last week, which said, the higher my credit score, the lower my interest rate, ? And that is correct. That is what our topic was last week. And Jeff asked, what kind of trade line is RentReporters? So, like we talked about diversifying your profile, there are 2 types of trade lines, a revolving trade line and installment. So revolving is those credit cards, and installment is what we are. So we're an installment type credit card. So if you want to think about diversifying your credit profile, remember we said if you only have credit cards applied to your credit score, that's not going to diversify it very much. But by adding RentReporters, now you can add an installment, which is going to help diversify that profile for you. And I think the rest were just some comments left by some of our viewers. So
Thanks again for joining us. Again, go to Twitter, use the hashtag BOOSTCREDIT. If you have questions after this ends, if you're watching it at a later time, comment. We'll answer it next week. Be sure to check out our other videos. Share them online. Share them with your family and friends. Again, RentReporters is a great score to add a trade line to your credit score to improve the length of your credit line or the age of your credit line.
Yeah, I think Melinda said it best. We want to make sure to share this video. Please help share this video with your friends and family and like it, because we really want to make sure that credit is such it's like a big monster, a big scary monster that it's kind of hard to explain. You're trying to figure it out, and we're really hoping that we're breaking down the points for you as simple as possible, and just helping to educate a family member or friend is going to really help them in their life, because as we know, credit is everything to improve, to have a better quality of life and meet our goals. So thank you for viewing, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.